Welcome back to Old Charles. Today, we're looking at a coin that many of you might have in your pocket right now, or might find in an old jar of coins at home. It is the 1978 Hong Kong 20-cent piece, a very common coin. But the question I get asked all the time is, what is its value? Is it worth anything more than 20 cents? So let's dive deep into this, and I mean really deep, because the answer might surprise you. First, let's just look at the coin itself. It is a small coin. It is made of nickel brass. It has a reeded edge. The obverse side features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, the young portrait that was used from 1953 to 1984, and it has the Latin inscription around it that reads Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina, which means Elizabeth II by the grace of God Queen. On the reverse, you have the Chinese characters for Hong Kong and the value 20 cents and the year 1978 in Western numerals in it. Features a floral design, specifically the bauhinia blossom, which would later become the emblem on the Hong Kong flag. So now, the big question, the 1978 Hong Kong 20-cent value, what is it worth? Well, the straightforward answer is that in terms of its face value, it is worth 20 cents of a Hong Kong dollar, which is a very small amount, about 2 or 3 cents. So not very much, but you're not here for the face value. You want to know if it has any numismatic value, any collector value. And that is where we need to look at the mintage numbers, and the condition of mintage for the 1978 Hong Kong 20-cent was enormous. We are talking in the tens of millions. It was a coin made for everyday circulation in a bustling financial center. So they made a lot of them, a whole lot. This immediately tells us that this is not a rare coin. It is a very, very common coin. So for a circulated coin, one that has been in pockets and tills and has scratches and wear and is no longer shiny, for that kind of coin, the value is basically its face value. There is no premium for a worn 1978 20-cent piece. You will not be able to sell it for more than 20 cents. And if you try to sell it to a coin dealer, they will probably just offer you its face value, or maybe even less, because they have no need for it. But wait, you say, my coin looks different. It looks shiny. It looks new. You have a coin that is in uncirculated condition now. We're talking about a different story, but still not a very expensive story in uncirculated coin, one that was saved from a mint set or a bankroll and has never been used, has no scratches. It still has its original luster. That kind of coin does have a small premium. A collector might pay maybe $1 or $2 for it. So if you have a perfect shiny 1978 20-cent, you might get $1 or $2 for it. But it's not a fortune now. Let's talk about errors, because error coins can be valuable, sometimes very valuable. So people always ask, are there any known errors for the 1978 20-cent? The answer is yes, but they're not common and they are not widely documented for this particular date. One thing to look for is a double die, where the design is struck twice, slightly offset, creating a doubling effect. But for 1978, this is extremely rare and not a commonly traded variety. Another thing to look for is off-center strikes or broad strikes, where the coin is not struck properly by the mint press. These are also rare for this issue. If you think you have an error coin, you need to get it's certified by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, because without certification, it is very difficult to sell an error coin for a premium. So to summarize, the value of a typical circulated 1978 Hong Kong 20-cent is 20 cents. The value of a brilliant uncirculated coin is maybe $1 or $2. The value of a genuine error coin could be higher, maybe $10, maybe $50, maybe more, depending on the error and its severity. But those are the exception, not the rule. I see so many videos online and posts on forums where people are asking about this coin, hoping that they have found a treasure. The reality is that for the vast majority of people, the 1978 Hong Kong 20-cent is just a common piece of modern coinage. It is a piece of history. It is a cool little coin to have, but it is not a retirement fund today. We're going deep on a little piece of history, a coin that tells a story far bigger than its 20-cent face value might suggest. We are talking about the 1978 Hong Kong 20-cent coin. Now, most of you know I love the stories behind the coins, and this one is a real snapshot in time, a fossil from a pivotal era. So let's set the stage. The year is 1978. Hong Kong is a British Crown colony, a buzzing, thriving, dynamic port city. It is a place of immense energy and contrast. Skyscrapers are shooting up. The economy is booming. It is a global manufacturing powerhouse. But politically, it is a place with an uncertain future, the least for the new territories, a huge part of the colony was set to expire in 1997, and behind the scenes, discussions about what would happen were already beginning, and into this world, this specific moment in 1978, the Royal Mint in London produced this small nickel brass coin. Now the coin itself is a product of its colonial status. Look at the obverse. You have the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, the young laureate head by Arnold Mackin. This was the standard portrait for British coinage. At the time, her presence on the coin is a clear symbol of British authority. It is a statement. It says this is a British possession. The inscription Elizabeth II Dei Grazia Regina FD reinforces that it is all in Latin, the traditional language of European royalty. But then you flip the coin over and you see the other side of Hong Kong's identity. The reverse is distinctly local. It features the Bauhinia blossom, a flower native to the region. The Bauhinia is a beautiful symbol. It is sometimes called the Hong Kong orchid tree, and its use here is significant. It is a local emblem on a colonial coin. It represents the unique Hong Kong, and 20 cents are prominently displayed. This is crucial for everyday commerce for the people who use this coin. It was their money, their language, their symbol alongside the Queen's portrait. So in your hand, you hold this tension, this duality, British rule and local identity fused together in a single object. The 1978 coin is part of a long series. The Hong Kong 20-cent coin with this basic design was introduced in 1975 and continued until 1984. So 1978 is right in the middle of that run. It was not a rare coin. It was made in the millions. It was workhorse money. It was used to buy a newspaper, to pay for a tram ride, to get a bowl of wonton noodles. This coin passed through the hands of factory workers and tycoons, of fishermen and financiers. It was part of the daily rhythm of a city on the move. The mint that produced at the Royal Mint was also symbolic. All of Hong Kong's coinage was produced in London until the early 1980s. This physical journey from the heart of the British Empire to the Far East is part of its story. It was not made locally. It was imported, a tangible link to the colonial power. Now, think about what happened next. Just a few years after this coin was minted, the negotiations between the UK and China intensified. And in 1984, the Sino-British Joint Declaration was signed. It was agreed that Hong Kong would be returned to China. In 1997, this little coin from 1978 was minted right on the cusp of that monumental decision. It circulated all through the 80s and 90s as the handover date grew closer and closer. After 1997, the coinage of Hong Kong changed. The Queen's portrait was removed and replaced with the Bauhinia design on both sides. The 1978 20-cent piece became a relic of the colonial era, a piece of the old Hong Kong. So when you look at a 1978 Hong Kong 20-cent coin, you're not just looking at 20 cents, you're looking at a piece of a complex historical puzzle.